Shridharam Shiguro Shiyudhavara Shiguro Vaishnavam Scha Shirupam Sabudatam Hadana Raghunatam Vidam Tam Sadivam Savaitam Savadutam Vrijana Saidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Hadana Lalita Shri Visatan Vidam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandha Devade Gopesha Gopikaganta Radha Kanta Namostade Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavadeshwari Krishnavada Sutadevi Pranamahari Priye Panchakava Druvescha Tripadhi Visha Kadinanam Bhavadevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Maha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, chapter 83. Draupadi meets the Queens of Krishna, text number 43. Rajastriyo yad vanchanti. Rajastriyo yad vanchanti. Ulindastrina viruddha. Ulindastrina viruddha. Gavascha urayito gava. Gavascha urayito gava. Parasprisham mahatmanaha. Parasprisham mahatmanaha. Rajaspriyo yad vanchanti. Rajaspriyo yad vanchanti. Ulindastrina viruddha. Ulindastrina viruddha. Gavascha urayito gava. Gavascha urayito gava. Parasprisham mahatmanaha. Parasprisham mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Gavasharayato gopa.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Padasparsham mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopaha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Padasparsham mahatmanaha.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Padasparsham mahatmanaha.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastruna viruddha.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Padasparsa mahatmanaha.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Padasparsham mahatmanaha.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti. Ulindastrina viruddha.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Gavaschayato gopa.
Padasparsham mahatmanaha.
Padasparshan mahatmanaha.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Rajastriyo yad vanchanti.
Ulindastrina viruddha.
Ulindastrina
Raja of Raj, Striya, the women, Yat, as, Vanchanti, they desire, Pulindya, the women of the Aborigine Pulinda tribe in Braj.
The women of the Aborigine Pulinda tribe.
Kriyana, from the grass. Viruda, and plants. Gaba, the cows. Charayata, who is grazing. Gopa, the cowherd boys. Sada, of the feet. Sparsham, the touch. Mahatmanaha, the Supreme Soul. Translation and purport by his followers of Srila Prabhupada. We desire the same contact with the Supreme Lord's feet that the young women of Braj, the cowherd boys, and even the Aborigine Pulinda women desire. The touch of the dusty leaves on the plants and grass as he tends his cows. This is all on the screen. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti reminds us of the jealous rivalry that always existed between the queens of Dwarka and the gopis of Braja. The gopis considered the sophisticated women of Dwarka the most serious threat to their hold on Sri Krishna, confessing their anxiety to Uddhava, Kasmat Krishna Iha Yati, Prapta Raja Atahitaha, Narendra Kanya Udvaya. Why should Krishna come back here after winning a kingdom, killing his enemies and marrying the daughters of the king? Rukmini and her 7 co-wives consider themselves so fortunate in their relation with Krishna as he appeared in Dwarka that they did not especially desire to see him as he is in Vrindavan. With the 16,000 queens, after hearing Uddhava describe Shri Radha's super excellent qualities, became attracted to touch the dust that falls from Krishna's feet onto the grass and plants of Vrindavan. The Vishwanath Chakravarti indicates that some commentators give this as a reason why, after the Moshala Leela, these 16,000 queens were stolen from Arjuna on the road by Lord Krishna himself, guised as 16,000 cowherds, who then took them away to Gokula. It's in the purports of the humble servants of his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The 10th canto, 83rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, titled Draupadi meets the Queen of Krishna. Namo Vishnu Vraya Krishna Prasthavate, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Srinavane, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Vicharne, Nirvishesha, Pratskadyadi Vicharne. Generally, the Bhagavatam, especially the first 9 cantos, deal with practical devotional service. In other words, although the pastimes are extraordinary, they deal with themes that have to do with how we can apply in our everyday devotional service, like renunciation, cultivation, knowledge, detachment, etc. So the 10th canto deals with esoteric stories and details about them. So here it deals with the queens and the gopis in Vrindavan, and then we have esoteric descriptions depending on which book you read. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it describes that actually the queens of Dwarka are expansions of the gopis of Vrindavan. So how they can be rival with yourself, I guess that's on the spiritual platform. Because on the spiritual platform there is variety. Just like here, even the material world, we may be here physically in this body, observing what's going on, but our mind is in some other world. So that's part of our nature, is that we have different ways of experiencing things. Sometimes it says that a woman may be holding the hand of one man, she's looking at another, and smiling at another. So many things are going on simultaneously. So similarly, Krishna's pastimes, on our level of understanding, it may be where generally people are very external, and they only see one thing that's going on, and they don't really observe or take very much importance of how things are going on more subtly on the spiritual platform. How, for instance, in Krishna's pastimes with Srimati Radharani, she sometimes takes rest, and she dreams of Krishna's pastimes on the bank of the Yamuna, and she's thinking it's a dream, but actually they're taking place, those pastimes. So externally she's on the bed taking rest, and internally she's engaged in Krishna's pastimes. Similarly, when the gopis in Vrindavan go to the rasa dance, to dance with Krishna, on the bed is their bodies, supposedly their material bodies, but they don't have a material body. They have a spiritualized body. And in their spiritual bodies, they go and join Krishna in his pastimes. And therefore it's cited by our acharyas, how can they blame Krishna that he's immoral, he's dancing with other women in the middle of the night? But actually, the bodies that people consider they're belonging to them were on the bed, and the spiritual bodies that belong to Krishna were dancing with him. Similarly, there's in the Bhagavatam Madhava, there's a description of how when Krishna left Vrindavan, then the gopis were feeling such separation that different things happened. One of them is that Vishaka and Srimati Radharani became so despondent out of separation, according to Bhagavatam Madhava, that they entered into the Yamuna, drowned themselves. But the sun god took them away and brought them to the sun planet. Now in the meantime, Satyajit was worshipping the sun god, and the sun god bestowed upon Satyajit one jewel which Mother Radharani had. That was a Kaustuba jewel, because Krishna had, there's a pastime, and Shankhachuda stole the gopis, and Krishna and Balaram chased after him to get back Radharani and the gopis, and Shankhachuda just abandoned the gopis, realizing that Krishna was a danger, and tried to flee. But Krishna caught up with him and cut off his head. Krishna usually likes to cut people's heads off. Clean shave. He doesn't carry around the disc for nothing. And then he took the jewel from Shankhachuda, which was, we know as a Kaustuba jewel. And he didn't know who to give it. He couldn't give it directly to Srimati Radharani because all the Kaurava who there would become jealous. And instead, he gave it to Balaram, who gave it to, because Balaram could understand his intention, and then Balaram gave it to Madhu Mangala, who gave it to Srimati Radharani, and therefore no one can complain that Madhu Mangala gave this jewel. But when Srimati Radharani entered into the Jamuna, she entered with a Kaustuba jewel, and then the sun god took her away to the sun planet. Nice and warm there. And in the meantime, Kshatriya was worshipping the sun god. So the sun god, out of appreciation for his worshipper, he gave Srimati Radharani and Vishaka and the Kaustuba jewel to Satyajit. And then Satyajit, later on, she was, instead of being Srimati Radharani, she became Satyabhama. And the Kastuba jewel is now known as the Shravantaka jewel. And let's see, Lalita wound up as Ujjambava, Satyabhama. No, not Satyabhama. Ujjambavati. And all the gopis, Rukmini was Chandravali. So now Chandravali becomes Rukmini becomes the principal queen, and Srimati Radharani, who's the principal gopi in Vrindavan, now becomes the secondary queen as Rukmini. Rukmini. She becomes Satyabhama. So because of the mood of Vrindavan, of conjugal love, especially unmarried conjugal love, then Srimati Radharani is the principal, and the person who's, the gopi who's most in our reverence to Krishna, who's, although Parakiya Rasa is prominent, both of them, but now she becomes prominent in Dwarka, where our reverence is prominent. So in Vrindavan, our reverence is not so much appreciated as it is in Dwarka. So Chandravali becomes Rukmini, our reverence, and Srimati Radharani, who's fiery, Vama Gopi, she becomes secondary Gopi in the Dwarka pastimes because she's more into spontaneous and not so much our reverence. She fights with Krishna sometimes. Bhagavatam. She lets Krishna know what she thinks. Rukmini never does that. So, and then the 16,000 queens become stolen by Bahusura, and then Krishna rescues them, and they become also queens in Dwarka. But actually they're all expansions of you could say they're the same expansions of the gopis, but apparently there's some rivalry. But this is just pastime. It's on some transcendental level that we can't really figure out as conditioned souls what's going on here. There's so many levels of transcendental life. Like for instance, when Krishna comes back when Uddhava comes from Dwarka to deliver the message to the gopis, when he arrives at Vrindavan, he sees it as it was originally, full of opulence, and everyone was happy, and Kandama flowers are blossoming. Just Krishna shows him what's going on, what was going on there. Now when he enters into Vrindavan, everything becomes desolate. Everyone's haggard, lamenting, and all the trees, all the desire trees are dried up and at a separation from Krishna. So, what we think is reality is our imagination, and what is actually reality is actually, we think that's imagination. So that's conditional life. Just like in Vrindavan, no one takes Krishna seriously as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although they know to some level that he's actually the Supreme. Gopis talk like that sometimes, but they don't take it seriously. Just like here, we know we're not this body, but we don't take it seriously. So that's the power of either Yogamaya or Mahamaya. Puts us into illusion, some kind of illusion. That illusion is blissful and transcendental. This illusion is quite a bit less pleasant. In any case, we can hear about these different levels of consciousness, but I think we first have to get out of the material level of consciousness before we can enter into the transcendental Yogamaya, the divine consciousness. And then we're practicing gradually to give up our attachment to the material world so we become attached to the spiritual world. And there's no limitations. Sometimes the cowherd boys will go out herding cows. And Lord Krishna and Balaram will think, well, let's have some pastime. So they make the hills and the trees into rakshasas with Ravana at the head. And then the cowherd boys become monkey soldiers and bears. And they fight against the rakshasas, who were formerly hills and trees. And they fight the whole day. At the end, they all go back to the cowherd boys and hills and trees again. Here, this is all, it's all pastime. And here, this is also illusory pastime. We actually think people die when they leave their bodies, and that this whole drama that's going on, we take it so seriously. The interaction of earth and water and fire and air and ether, and then our mental conceptions of it, and our perceptions of it, and our ego attachment to it, is all just like a big drama that we're living out. There is no reality to it, no real substance to it. Although the ingredients are real, but they're all just like watching a movie. The movie is on the screen, it's real, something's happening, but it's not really real. It's just an imagination. So we enjoy this material manifestation of illusion, and so much so that we're looking forward to the so-called future. That somehow or another the scientists will progress and they'll create a bigger illusion for us, an illusion we can actually enjoy. This illusion we have a hard time enjoying, but the scientists say that your illusion is good. You're in Australia, you have a good illusion, but we can make it even better. Unlike these other countries where people are less fortunate, their illusion is less illusory than yours. They don't have a good illusion. You have a good illusion, and we're going to make your illusion even better. So just trust us, because not only we're an illusion, but we know how to manipulate illusions. Make you think that you're actually going to enjoy your next illusion. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam will give us some idea of what it's like to be out of illusion, but at least theoretically, to inspire us to get out of this illusion and maybe enjoy something that's actually real, that has some substance to it, that's full of endless variety and endless pleasure beyond what we can imagine. Because right now what we can imagine is more or less Charvada, just different varieties of the same thing we've been imagining since time immemorial, which haven't changed at all. They've just changed slightly. It's probably said there's no past, present, and future. Because in the past people were eating, people were sleeping. It's like you're in class and there's always sleeping. They're amazing. They're defending. And in the past, millions of years ago, that's what people are doing. And at the present moment, guess what people are doing? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But they do it in style here in Australia. And in the future, somewhere, wherever we wind up in the material world, guess what we're going to be doing? I can predict exactly the future. We're going to be eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Just like one time Prabhupada was coming back from a doctor's appointment in Los Angeles, and he passed by one movie theater, and the title of the movie was, "Is There Sex After Death?" And it's a topic most people are interested in. So he came back, and he told the devotees who generally went out and preached all day. He said that I just passed by this movie theater, and the title of the movie is There Sex After Death? So I'd like you to inform the people that you meet that they don't have to worry, that there is sex after death. And 8,400,000 people. And if they hear this, then they won't be afraid of death. So this is the material existence. We think that even sometimes the sages, they want to find out what it's like, just like in the pastime of Dasarath. When Dasarath was out hunting, he was able to shoot arrows by hearing and get their target by hearing. So two sages had taken the form of deer in order to see what it would like to enjoy sex as deers. So Dasarath heard the sound of the deers and shot an arrow and killed one of the deers, the male deer. And the female, one of the deer was dying. He cursed Dasarath because he was a sage in the form of a deer that, you're also you're gonna also die of lamentation, just like now my wife and myself have been killed by you and we're lamenting, so you're gonna die of lamentation. So these pastimes go on in the material world that we think, well, somehow or another it's gonna be better in this form or that form. It always turns out to be not as pleasant as we thought it was going to be. So much work to get there, just like people everywhere in this world nowadays, they work so hard during the year just to get a 2-week vacation. And they try to enjoy so much that they need another vacation. So this is how we're faced with it, but somehow or another read the Bhagavatam and become a little inspired that there is a better existence and that we can attain it if we just become a little tolerant. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Comments?
So my question is like, after finishing Leela from here, like why Lord Krishna took a form of like dacoits and stole the gopis from Arjuna?
What else is he supposed to do with the queens?
No, I mean like he could tell Arjuna like to send them someplace and from there they could do like.
He took them to Gokul, so this is a different rasa. You just can't bring queens over to Gokul, they feel a little out of place. So he took the form of a coward maiden. I guess they got back to their original. But rasa with Krishna is coward girls, because that's who they actually are. They just got transported to Dwarka. And then they just went back at some level, either prophet or opera pastime with Krishna and Gokul. Yes.
Right, sure. But as you were saying that the gopis, they expanded into the queens. Then I was reading that Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they both say do not mix and match the rasas. They are not direct expansions.
They're not direct expansion. I don't know if you said they're not direct expansion. They're all expansion.
Yeah, that's right. But how do we reconcile with the rasa bhasta?
There's no rasa bhas because when they relate to Krishna in that form, or Krishna relates to them in that form, they have a certain rasa with Krishna. In the form of the gopis, all the rasas exist. They also have our reverence for Krishna sometimes, as well as parental and friendly and servitorship with Krishna. So it's a part of their relation with Krishna. It's not rasa bhas. There's no gopis in Dwarka. They don't suddenly start acting like gopis. They maintain that particular relation with Krishna, but they're all there in Krishna's pastimes. All the rasas are there in the gopis. Even the queens of Dwarka, the goddesses of fortune, they're all expansions of Srimad Radharani. The gopis are expansions of Srimad Radharani. Now, if the goddess of fortune, Narayan and Vaikuntha started acting like gopis, that would be a problem. Unless Krishna wanted them to. Gopakumara, anytime he went to Vaikuntha and he kept his dress, and Krishna, in order to satisfy him, sometimes all his friends some of the people in Dwarka, in Narayan and Vaikuntha, they became cowardly. They herded the cows. Krishna can do anything, he's not restricted. We're going to not doing it. No. We'll go for more, you can do it. You can do anything Krishna does. Otherwise, how do you turn trees and rocks into rakshasas so they can play with it? He's not bound by our conception of what he can do. Yes.
When we listen to Krishna's, in what mode we should read and listen to Krishna's pastimes? Because as a material body and conditioned soul, there are lots of hows and whys that come to our mind. So like Prabhuji asked, like, why did Krishna do this? Why did he kidnap this woman after Shikari? So what mood should we know, should we read or hear about Krishna?
Don't accept things blindly and don't reject them blindly. Understand that we don't even know we're not this body, so what do we know about them? We're eternal souls. We don't even know who we are, but to speak of anything else that's going on. So, just keep a humble attitude and understand it's beyond, we can't even understand in the present moment who we are, who anyone else is, or how this material world is working. We don't even know when we cut our finger how it's healed. We don't know anything. We've just been made to believe that we actually have some knowledge or something. Yeah.
So does it mean that, like what we are told when we do devotional service to the deities, that the mood should be that of our environment? So
Yeah. What else can we do? They're served on that level in Vrindavan, in the mood of Vrindavan. We're in the mood of we're this body and we're trying to work it out who we are. As Prabhupada, when he was still in Dwarkadi, he said that Dwarkada, he said that Sanatana Swami was offering Madan Mohan. Well, he was hanging Madan Mohan on a tree, and Madan Mohan was saying, my dear Sanatana Swami, that every day you're just offering me a dry roti. Can't even put some salt on it. So Prabhupada said that Madan Mohan, Sanatana Swami said, I'm an old man, I can hardly even move. Whatever I have, I offer to you. Kindly accept it. So then Prabhupada said that Madan Mohan had to accept it because Bhakti is offering. Then he said, but what is your value? What is the value of the things that you have? They're nothing. That the real thing is Bhakti. That Krishna, I brought this for you. I'm rotten, fallen. Kindly accept. I have no qualification. I'm rotten and fallen. But I brought this for you. Kindly accept it. And Prabhupada started to cry. And he said, what is your value? What is the value of the things that you have? Is actually nothing. That the real thing is Bhakti. Don't be puffed up. Always remember you're dealing with Krishna. That is my advice. Prabhupada was crying when he said that. So, you know, it's just the deities here, and I'm so kind, I've come here. So there's someone to see. We're dealing with Krishnas everywhere. So with all rasas, all options, everything. And he's so kindly come here and accept our little offering. And it was made with love, and I'll accept it. Anything else?
Can I ask one more? Even though we hear this, this body, theoretically we can understand, but the minute, after some time, we kind of get back into the bodily platform. Why can't we just automatically switch that, this body in a
Because we
permanent?
get carried away by our controlled desires. We're by our past activities, have so many things we've done in the past that we want to explore in the present. And so when they come about, we say, hey, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Thank you very much. I always forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. Let's go for it. This time it's going to be different. Thank you very much. Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.